Hello, good morning. This is Lavren, and I'm talking to you from Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. I've tried to do this video twice. I'm not getting where I want to go, so I'm going to start at the other end of the stuff I want to talk to you about, and maybe that will just get me in the flow. So I received this book kind of pushed on me in a way. It was way back at Christmas when my gang does a book exchange, and I already had about 6 books or so, and the owner of this book said, "Oh, you want this one? You want this one? I know you're going to want this one." And like, I was still pretty poorly at the time, and I thought, I'm not going to be able to hold that up. So the book in question is Kristin Lavren's daughter, and it is written by Sigrid Undset, and she's the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. This is a translated book, and it is about Kristina, who is the daughter of Lavren's, and it takes place, she's about 2-3 years old when she moves into the community of her childhood, and then the rest of it tells her life story. And you know, I'm gonna go with my instincts and not even. I did read the first page, but I was gonna say I wasn't gonna even open the book. But I thought, well, give it the first page. And in the first page, there's so many characters and king and a lord and parents and 3 towns and not only do I not have the muscle interest, don't even really have the brain interest. Now, the person who owns this book loved it. It is 3 books. That's one. So the depth of it is a bit deceptive. I don't know whether you could get each book individually and not have to use your muscles, but I just decided that it was like visually a burden. So I decided I'm not going to read it. Yeah. I do get books like that every once in a while where I'm kind of partially interested, but there's something about the book that doesn't sing to me. So I let that one go. Now the other books that I'm reading are a continuation of The Wizard of Once by Cressida Cowell. This is Knock 3 Times. It's book 3, and it continues the adventures of Tsar and Wish and Wish's bodyguard Boggin. So you know, I have talked about this a couple of times. It's both text and images, all by the author, and she's got some pages where she helps tell the story as well. And so I'm just reading these now. I really am enjoying this series and decided I was just going to plow on through and get to the end. So the final one is called Never and Forever. And I think she has then, don't quote me, but I think she has gone on to start another series that I'm going to look forward to. I really have enjoyed her. She's done other things that I've read. Of course, I think the most known about is How to Train Your Dragon, which was turned into an animation. And in case you didn't get it from the covers, it's middle grade book. Oh, and then this is middle grade, what is it called? Middle grade March or something like that, where everybody's reading books from the middle grade. So, whoa, I participated and didn't think about it until even now. Okay, finally, the 2 books I really hadn't planned to talk to you about. Over the course of the year, I have picked up, 4 or 5 books and realized that there's some kind of theme, and sometimes it's fiction against fiction or fiction and nonfiction, and a couple times it's been a book in a magazine that I've picked up, and it's been kind of funny that I didn't plan any of these. None of these were like a journey into. Last time the 3 books were murder mysteries that all happened in different hotels, and different authors, everything. So I just thought it's funny. Well, the trend continues, because this book I picked up when we were shopping in Lunenburg, and it's Half Broke Horses by Jeanette Walls. And it did sound interesting because it's a very, very strong main character, Lily Casey Smith, who is basically a rancher. And this one was given to me last Christmas by one of my buddies at our book exchange. And I still wasn't a whole ton better. So she said, you'll like this one. There's not really any tension in it. It's just a nice soft read. I don't think she was awake when she was reading it. Gap Creek by Robert Morgan is definitely filled with tension. But it's a nice story, and it is also about a strong female character. Her name is Julie, and she's recently married. So she's in a rural farmstead as opposed to Lily, who's on Arizona, where there's just hundreds of acres of ranches and stuff. Yeah, so I wasn't expecting to have a compare and contrast, but we do. I would say that of the two, I prefer Half Broke Horses by like just a smidgen. And I think, well, there's a couple of reasons for that, but Lily for one thing, Jeanette Wall's mother, Lily, is the main character in this book, and she is called Lily in the book. So it's sort of a fictionalized biography, and I think that because a lot of the stories were anecdotal and there isn't any kind of, paper trail, particularly about her grandmother, Lily, that it just couldn't be classified as nonfiction. I don't think it matters myself because, a good story is a good story. And this is a really fine one. Lily was a young teenager when things started to go wrong on the farm, and she was called into performing more than the average teenager would in terms of numbers of chores and numbers of hours working and having to come out of school. But it was written in the 1930s, so a lot of girls didn't complete school in those days anyways. So Lily's on the ranch, and she's helping the family get the ranch organized, and she's one of the ones that she can do it, whereas her two younger brothers are either a fair amount younger or being sent off to be educated, although he doesn't want to go, and she's the one who wants the education. And so she gets a year at a Catholic girls' boarding school, and the funding gets retracted because her dad decides he'd rather have 4 Great Danes. He's going to breed the Great Danes, and life's going to be good. Anyhow, she loses her educational opportunities. But that doesn't stop Lily. Lily just keeps on going right on straight through until probably in her 70s sometime. We don't see the end of her life, but we see up until her children are married and have children of their own. So it takes quite a large state to contain Lily. She's in Arizona, and although she really doesn't have opportunities to travel or anything, she gets on her horse and she goes 500 miles. Now, I don't want to give you every detail, but she and the horse start off on a life adventure that she sort of continues metaphorically when she's not able to move geographically, but certainly she's a go-getter, and she really knows how to work hard. She's got a no-nonsense kind of an attitude. She's a bit of a tough nut, let's say. She can roll with the cowboys in the sense. Off the horse. It's like off the horse is how she rolls. Okay, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. She's single for a while. She gets into tussles with people in authority. She's not afraid to wave a gun. I don't know whether this would be broadly available in Canada. Now, it's Simon & Schuster, but and it's also a New York Times bestseller. But because it's taking place in Arizona, I just don't know whether our libraries would have been that interested. Now, the writing style is kind of interesting, too, because there isn't... It is completely chronological, but it's very episodic. It's almost as if you're reading... It would be as if you were reading someone else's summary of your diary. So, yeah, it's really... I quite liked it. Lily is writing in the present tense, first person. There we go. She also has a very flat-footed, let's get her done kind of an attitude. So it just means that she meets life's problems in a way that's refreshing and courageous and energetic, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I don't know. I think that's where I'll stay. For a minute I was having a guilty second thought, going, oh, why don't you give it more? And then I thought, because it was single-toned, if you like. It didn't have a lot of richness and depth and so on. But the story is a great hoot. Now, Gap Creek by Robert Morgan is the other one that I was not really thinking that it would be much more than about a middle book. And I just happened to pick it up just after I finished picking this one up. I was trying to get books off my big list. So this is the story of Julie, and she has, as a young teenager as well, been called upon by the family to perform chores and tasks that are way and above what we would expect of a 13-year-old. And yet she's not the oldest, so there's this funny dynamic where the family completely relies on Julie to get stuff done, but she hasn't really got a ton of authority because she's the third youngest, and Papa's still alive for part of the story. So it's very interesting to be following Julie's journey from about, I'm going to say about 14 to about 20, maybe 21. And no, gosh, that's the lie. That's a complete lie. 20, I'm going to say. Because in this book, we are really going through the first year of her marriage, although the bulk of the activity and the storyline is happening in the first 4 months of the marriage, and then the winter of the marriage, and then I don't want to give it away. But it is only a year, and quite a lot happens, and Hank, the husband, I don't know, Hank. What a wussy boy. He's one of these big, strong, muscular guys who just, like, every time something went wrong, he was just, waily, woe is me, and blaming it on other people. So, didn't love Hank, but Julie was a pleasant character. She really worked hard for what she trusted in and believed in. And I think by the end of her first marriage, she doesn't have any illusions about what Hank's going to be like going forward. But this is an era where people did that. I guess, you'd be in the flush of romance when you're the first 2 or 3 months or something. And it isn't until around then that you begin to think, uh-oh, the shine's kind of wearing off. But in this culture, this era, if you'd been seeing someone for between 3 and 6 months, you could expect a wedding to come forward. So, why did I go down that path? Well, you know what? That was the opposite of a menopausal thing. That's like, normally I just forget what I want to say. Here, I've said a whole bunch of stuff, and I don't remember why I said it. So, honest to Pete, life is pretty funny. So I gave this one a 3, and it's what this one has that Horse doesn't is there's a fair amount of tension around hunger and money and so on, and the marital interchange. It's not all love and roses. So there's a lot more tension in this book, but I also found the character Hank just he just irritated the heck out of me. So that took a little bit of the reading pleasure out of it. And I also, I can understand the construction arc of this book, but I think that I would have liked to have seen maybe even just another third about what happens after the ending. I like the way she ended it. It's like, if you don't, it's a pretty untraditional ending. So I think that, I wouldn't want to destroy that, but at the same time, I really liked to have seen a little bit more, and I don't think that there is a sequel. So I'm pretty sure there isn't, because I'm pretty sure I checked. Okay, that's it for me. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.